Hello everyone, here we are. We're going to get going with Job. If you remember, Job had left us where he was really complaining about the day he was born and saying he wished he'd never been born. And he had a few friends with him, so now we're going to hear from one of his friends. Then Eliphaz the Temanite replied, and this is Job 4, by the way. If someone ventures a word with you, will you be impatient? You know, if you're sitting with someone who's suffering, you don't want to make them more angry. You want to sort of creep in and say, can I say something? But who can keep from speaking? Think how you've instructed many, how you've strengthened feeble hands. Remember, Job was the most influential person in his area of the city or in the southern quarter or whatever they said about him. He was highly respected. How you've strengthened feeble hands. Your words have supported those who stumbled. You've strengthened faltering knees. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Or I think I'm going to sneeze. Maybe not. Yep. Excuse me. Your words have supported those who stumbled. You've strengthened faltering knees. But now trouble comes to you and you're discouraged. It strikes you and you're dismayed. Should not your piety be your confidence and your blameless ways your hope? Piety is a type of humility. Consider now, who being innocent has ever perished? Where were the upright ever destroyed? As I've observed, those who plow evil and those who sow trouble reap it. At the breath of God, they perish. At the blast of his anger, they're no more. The lions may roar and growl, yet the teeth of the great lions are broken. The lion perishes for lack of prey, and the cubs of the lioness are scattered. A word was secretly brought to me. My ears caught a whisper of it. Amid disquieting dreams in the night, when deep sleep falls on people, fear and trembling seized me and made all my bones shake. A spirit glided past my face, and the hair on my body stood on end. It stopped, but I could not tell what it was. A form stood before my eyes, and I heard a hushed voice. Can a mortal be more righteous than God? Can even a strong man be more pure than his maker? If God places no trust in his servants, if he charges his angels with error, how much more those who live in houses of clay, whose foundations are in the dust, who are crushed more readily than a moth? Between dawn and dusk, they're broken to pieces. Unnoticed, they perish forever. Are not the cords of their tent pulled up so that they die without wisdom? That's pretty severe. Okay, number 5. Call if you will, but who will answer you? To which of the holy ones will you turn? This must still be Eliphaz talking. Resentment kills a fool and envy slays the simple. Now, the impression I'm getting is that Eliphaz is trying to show him the goodness of God and says, have you ever seen innocent people perish? No, they've been lifted up, and it's the wicked people that perish. They reap what they sow, but the innocent are held up, okay? And then he's talking about the mortality of man and how we're here today and gone tomorrow, and, you know, how we're very frail and fragile, okay? So he's going on and saying, call if you will, but who will answer you? To which of the holy ones will you turn? Resentment kills a fool. Boy, did they talk about that in AA. Your resentment will kill you. And here it is in the Bible. Resentment kills a fool, and envy slays the simple. I myself have seen a fool taking root, but suddenly his house was cursed. His children are far from safety, crushed in court without a defender. The hungry consume his harvest, taking it even from among thorns, and the thirsty pant after his wealth. For hardship doesn't spring from the soil, nor does trouble sprout from the ground. Yet man is born to trouble as surely as sparks fly upward. But if I were you, I'd appeal to God. I'd lay my cause before him. He performs wonders that cannot be fathomed, miracles that cannot be counted. He provides rain for the earth. He sends water on the countryside. The lowly he sets on high, and those who mourn are lifted to safety. He thwarts the plans of the crafty so that their hands achieve no success. He catches the wise in their craftiness, and the schemes of the wily are swept away. Darkness comes upon them in the daytime. At noon they grope as in the night. He saves the needy from the sword in their mouth. He saves them from the clutches of the powerful. So the poor have hope, and injustice shuts its mouth. I think this is interesting. He says he saves the needy from the sword in their mouth. So I'm assuming he's talking about the people that lay in wait, okay, for him. But when I first read it, I thought perhaps it meant the sword in our own mouths. Our tongues are mighty swords, and they can really harm us with the words that come out. And I was thinking, boy, Lord, here, save me from the words in my mouth, because occasionally they're not good. Okay. Anyway, we'll go on here. It seems to be more of a statement of how wicked people have wicked people come against them, okay? Because they're wicked. Sort of like garbage in, garbage out, wicked in. Garbage, wicked in, wicked out, or wicked out. I'm thinking of, I was talking to Pastor Hal, my mentor, years ago, 35 years ago. And I said, isn't it interesting that these nutty people go to kill the doctors at abortion clinics? And he said, well, murder in, murder out. And see, that's why that happens, because they're murdering. And so crazy people go to murder the doctors. It's all a murder business. Okay, who was that singer? What was her name? Iggy Azalea. She has a song called "The Murder Business." It's it's neither here nor there, but I just liked the way she sang it. She called it "The Murder Business," and she was talking about the teen pageant or the child pageant scene and calling it the murder business. Actually, I loved the song, to be honest with you, not for the song properties, but for what it was speaking about. All right. Blessed, Eliphaz goes on. Blessed is the one whom God corrects, so don't despise the discipline of the Almighty. That would probably make me mad if I was Job, if I was told that I was being disciplined by, losing all my kids and having sores all over my body. I would probably feel like, shut up. I mean, I'm just being honest with you, okay? But Eliphaz is just going on, okay? So we're going to let him go on here. Don't despise the discipline of the Almighty, for he wounds, but he also binds up. Now, he's not wrong, but this just may not be the right word, okay? He injures, but his hands also heal. From 6 calamities he'll rescue you, and 7 no harm will touch you. In famine he'll deliver you from death, and in battle from the stroke of the sword. You will be protected from the lash of the tongue and need not fear when destruction comes. You'll laugh at destruction and famine and need not fear the wild animals. That's interesting, because at the end of time, the wild animals are going to be attacking people, and they've already started. And famine and destruction, of course, we know are just waiting with bated breath to rear their ugly heads. But, really, when we're secure in the Lord, in a sense, we do laugh. Not in an insolent way, but sort of in a come back soon, Lord, hallelujah, you're coming. For you will have a covenant with the stones of the field, and the wild animals will be at peace with you. You will know that your tent is secure. You will take stock of your property and find nothing missing. You'll know that your children will be many, after he's just lost all of his kids, and your descendants like the grass of the earth. You'll come to the grave in full vigor, like sheaves gathered in season. We've examined this, and it is true. So hear it and apply it to yourself. All right, now Job is going to answer this. If only my anguish could be weighed, and all my misery be placed on the scales, it would surely outweigh the sand of the seas. No wonder my words have been impetuous. The arrows of the Almighty are in me. My spirit drinks in their poison. God's terrors are marshaled against me. Does a wild donkey bray when it has grass? Or an ox bellow when it has fodder? Is tasteless food eaten without salt? Or is there flavor in the sap of the mallow? I don't know what mallow is. We can look it up. I refuse to touch it. Such food makes me ill. Oh, that I might have my request, that God would grant what I hope for, that God would be willing to crush me, to let loose his hand and cut off my life. Then I'd still have this consolation, my joy in unrelenting pain, that I had not denied the words of the Holy One. So he's saying, I'm hanging on here for dear life, not accusing God of the pain I'm in, okay? What he's saying, can this be over quick before I lose it? What strength do I have that I should still hope? What prospects that I should be patient? Do I have the strength of stone? Is my flesh bronze? Now, for any of you out there that are suffering with anything, and I have been suffering, gosh, it must be 4 years. It's starting to relent. I mean, it's starting to pull back now. I'm starting to heal, okay? But when you're in mental anguish and you're really suffering, you do feel like this. Now, we don't compare our anguish to someone else, okay? Because we can't. I can't look at my suffering and say, you know, well, Autumn, you know, you're not a Vietnamese woman who's having, you know, the enemy cut, you know, you're not a pregnant Vietnamese woman who's having her belly open and her baby slashed out of her in times of war. Their anguish can't be compared, okay? Your personal anguish is your personal anguish, okay? And when you're in personal anguish, you do really, I mean, I know it sounds vain, but you kind of do wish for death. You're just like, I hate this. I can't handle it. I don't have the strength to bear this. This is too much pain for me. But when you get to the other side, as I'm getting to, you know, you just feel cleansed. That's all I can tell you, is you feel cleansed. You feel like you can flap your wings with great strength. Okay. Do I have the strength of stone? Is my flesh bronze? Do I have the power to help myself? God, I've said that so many times to God. I'm so sorry, God. I don't want to insult you with my suffering when I should be praising you, you know. But I can't heal myself. Help. Okay, those are the kinds of prayers I've prayed through all of this. Help and praise you, God. It's very difficult to say praise you, God, when all you want to do is cry. And I know it sounds like a pity party, but I'm talking about deep anguish. I'm not talking about something casual where you're literally having a pity party. Do I have any power to help myself now that success has been driven from me? Anyone who withholds kindness from a friend forsakes the fear of the Almighty. But my brothers are as undependable as intermittent streams, as the streams that overflow when darkened by thawing ice and swollen with melting snow, but that stop flowing in the dry season and in the heat vanish from their channels. You know, I really understand all of what he's saying, and I hope you do too. Caravans turn aside from their routes. They go off into the wasteland and perish. The caravans of Tema look for water. It's interesting he's saying Tema because Eliphaz is a Temanite, Temanite. So I don't know if Tema refers to a Temanite. The caravans of Tema look for water. The traveling merchants of Sheba look in hope. They are distressed because they'd been confident. They arrive there only to be disappointed. Now you too have proved to be of no help. He's saying that to his friends. You see something dreadful and are afraid. Have I ever said give something on, excuse me. Excuse me. Have I ever said give something on my behalf, pay a ransom for me from your wealth, deliver me from, it's sinuses again. The trees are in bloom now, but occasionally we have a day where it's hard. Have I ever said, give something on my behalf, pay a ransom for me from your wealth, deliver me from the hand of the enemy, rescue me from the clutches of the ruthless? In other words, have I ever asked you for anything before? And now, here I am, but you can't help. Teach me and I'll be quiet. Show me where I've been wrong. How painful. Wow. Show me where I've been wrong. This poor man has been faithful, and this is happening to him, and he doesn't understand it. How painful are honest words. And I think about, I felt the same kind of, it's not like a betrayal you feel, but you do feel like God has shot a bunch of arrows into you, because you feel like, haven't I served you? I've been serving you all these years. I've turned my whole life over to you. Why do you allow my enemies to have victory over me? These are real prayers, folks. Teach me and I'll be quiet. Show me where I've been wrong. How painful are honest words. But what do your arguments prove? Do you mean to correct what I say and treat my desperate words as wind? You'd even cast lots for the fatherless and barter away your friend. But now, be so kind as to look at me. Would I lie to your face? Relent. Don't be unjust. Reconsider, for my integrity is at stake. Is there any wickedness on my lips? Can my mouth not discern malice? Wow. You know what we're going to do? Let's look up mallow really quick here. Pardon my sniffling. A herbaceous plant with hairy stems, pink or purple flowers, and disc-shaped fruit. Several kinds are grown as ornamentals and some are edible. Very pretty flower. And let's also look up the definition of porphyry, I think it was. There it is. Remember the floors in Xerxes' palace were porphyry? A rock consisting of feldspar crystals embedded in a compact dark red or purple ground mass. So when we looked at Xerxes, who was throwing a banquet, and they were talking about the gold couches and the floors made out of all of this tile, this was a dark red or purple stone with gold crystal flecks in it. Or not gold, a rock consisting of feldspar crystals, so it was sort of glittering. This king, Xerxes, was wealthy, huh? And that was he was the king of Persia that we read about with Esther. All right, let's go to Job 7, because I think we can go on. So this is still Job talking. Do not mortals have hard service on earth? Are not their days like those of hired laborers, like a slave longing for the evening shadows, or a hired laborer waiting to be paid? So I've been allotted months of futility and nights of misery have been assigned to me. When I lie down, I think, how long before I get up? The night drags on, and I toss and turn until dawn. My body's clothed with worms and scabs. My skin is broken and festering. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle, and they come to an end without hope. Remember, O God, that my life is but a breath. My eyes will never see happiness again. The eye that now sees me will see me no longer. You will look for me, but I will be no more, as a cloud vanishes and is gone. So one who goes down to the grave doesn't return. He'll never come to his house again. His place will know him no more. Therefore, I'll not keep silent. I'll speak out in the anguish of my spirit. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. Am I the sea or the monster of the deep that you put me under guard? When I think my bed will comfort me and my couch will ease my complaint, even then you frighten me with dreams and terrify me with visions. He's talking to God, of course. So that I prefer strangling and death rather than this body of mine. I despise my life. I would not live forever. Let me alone. My days have no meaning. What is mankind that you make so much of them? That you give them so much attention, that you examine them every morning and test them every moment. Is that not true? Will you never look away from me or let me alone even for an instant? You know, I actually had a prayer like that once when I was very angry with the Lord. I actually said, turn away from me, stop, get off me. I'm not saying that's a great prayer. I'm not saying you should go do that or talk to the Lord like that. But I think that was in the night I told you about a long time ago where I was just suffering terribly and really sinning and saying to the Lord, you know, sure, I've got all this stuff, but what about the big things like my daughter being off of drugs, etc., etc. Well, somewhere in that same night, I believe I said, get away from me. That's what I said. I said, get away from me. Leave me alone. Because of the testing, the constant testing, the testing. And that was 30 years ago. Oh boy, we've been through a lot since then. But I learned humility because of that night. The Lord has taught me how to be humble and how to suffer more graciously. Oh my goodness. So we're going to read that again. Will you never look away from me or let me alone even for an instant? If I've sinned, what have I done to you? You who see everything we do, why have you made me your target? Have I become a burden to you? Why do you not pardon my offenses and forgive my sins? For I'll soon lie down in the dust. You will search for me, but I will be no more. Like God can't find us. You're going to search for me, God, but you won't find me. You know, as I'm reading this, I'm realizing perhaps that night wasn't as sinful as I thought. I was very, very rude and very, very ungracious and very coarse. And those things were really sacrilegious and sinful. But you know, my cry was very similar to this. So perhaps that's why God has included Job, to show us that, you know, when we've served the Lord faithfully and we start to suffer, it's hard. We don't understand it. Often I say to the Lord, you know, I'm like a dumb beast in front of you. Anyway, I love you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll pick it up with Job chapter 8. I love you. Bye-bye.